Hi guys, it's Amy with Aim to Plan, and today I am here with kind of a fun video for me at least, showing you some new planning tools. So I said new planning tools with a plural, but I'm actually only going to be showing you one new tool that I found recently. This is a website that I found for digital planning that kind of utilizes AI, artificial intelligence, in order to be able to manage my tasks and events. And I'm really excited to talk about it and just tell you a little bit about my experience so far with using it. I have not yet used it for a full week, so these are just my initial thoughts for it. But I did want to hop on and just kind of explain what I've done here and walk you through it and see if it's something that you're interested in kind of looking at for yourself. I will include in the description a referral link. So if you click on the referral link, you will sign up for an account just like you would normally, but it will give me credit for referring you. So please do use my referral link if you're interested in exploring it. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a chance for you to give me credit for referring you. So with that being said, what I have found here, as you can see, is something called Reclaim AI. So that's listed right here. And I wanted to be able to kind of walk you through what I've done here initially and just kind of give you my first reaction to using this. I have used it for about 24 hours at this point, and I am actually really loving it. I think it might be a little bit too complex for like most cases, like for most individuals, but I am planning to use this particular tool for work. And so that's kind of how I set it up, is to use it for work and to help me with some of my tracking for work tasks. So let's get into it and kind of explain it to you. So Reclaim AI bills itself as kind of like an AI scheduler. It helps you to manage your tasks, but I find that it does a lot more than that. And so let's talk a little bit about what I have found, at least with Reclaim. So Reclaim AI. When you sign up and open it up, it'll of course be blank. But I've gone ahead and added my calendar events. I've synced my Google Calendar. Right now, Reclaim only works with Google Calendar, but they've made notes that they do plan to open it up for Outlook, which is what I'm excited about because I do use Outlook for my work. But I did, again, just set this up with Google Calendar just to play with it and see if it would work for work. So I do have my work events in here right now. I also have gone in and populated a couple of tasks and habits. And so what I've got in here is basically what Reclaim has indicated for me for next week. And so this is kind of the schedule that it has created for me in terms of the work tasks and social media tasks that it wants me to do for next week. And there are some nuances to how it works, but basically these are the events that are in the color. And then there are certain events that are like labeled as busy, like these are the times that I should be doing these, and you can see these are like colored in. And then there are all of these kind of like outlined boxes that are considered free time. And so these are things that we could or I could do at these times, but it also is marked as free on my calendar. And so these events can be moved if someone books a meeting with me. And so again, let's get into some of the nitty gritty here. On this side, it does have priorities, and it basically talks through like how to use priorities to label your tasks. I won't get into that so much, although if you want a separate video for that, please do let me know. There is a stats button, which kind of, this is why I'm really excited about this. It shows you a breakdown of how you spend your time based on the category. And you can see here that since I haven't used it for long enough, it doesn't have any information, but it does have time breakdown, time breakdown trends, habits and tasks that it shows me how many hours I've worked for on each habit or task. There's focus time, so how many solo hours, like deep work kind of hours I have. Here is data on meetings, how many meetings and how many people I have. And then it has some, like, again, like to me, very interesting stats related to work-life balance. So how many personal hours I had, how many hours of vacation, how many hours did I work outside of normal work hours, which I think is a really good one. Here's travel time, here meetings scheduled by Reclaim, hours of breaks between meetings, and then hours reclaimed for focus time, which is the deep work that Reclaim can help you schedule. So again, I have not used it long enough to show you some of these trends. I might come on later and kind of talk about like what these look like once we get into it. But I think the heart of Reclaim is going to be the tasks and habits. So let's get into that. So the first thing is tasks. Tasks to me, in reading some of the information, are just the like one-off kind of activities that you do that don't get to the level of like being a recurring task. I put in news here, although that really should be a habit. But some examples here is like I have a one-off task right now where I'm working on a project at work to recreate some module templates. So I have that here. And then I have a project for reading through some chapter submissions from some students. And so that I have that here as well. Now, these are things that will be longer term. It will take me several hours to do these things, but it's not something that I need repeated every week or every month or every year. And so I have it listed just the one time. All right. And so in order to create a task, you basically go up here to new task and you just type in the task name. The only thing that's required is a task name, but you'd also get the chance to do things, for example, like set the priority. Again, I won't get into some of that. But then how long do you estimate the event will take or the task will take? I can put 30 minutes. I can put, you know, it could be 8 hours, however much time. Then you have the option to split up the time. Now, if you don't split it up, then it will try to find, like for here, I have an 8-hour task. If I don't do the split up, it will try to find me an 8-hour window to do that task. But if you split it up, it will give you the option to split it up into smaller like time blocks on your schedule. So what you can do is if you decide to split it up, you could set what the minimum amount of time is that you would want to work on it. So for me, I would want to work at least 15 minutes on it, sometimes 30 minutes, depending on if it's like really deep, heavy work. I want to have like a solid chunk of time to work on it. And how long do you want to work on it maximum? So, you know your own energy levels. If you're only going to be able to work for like 30 minutes or an hour on a task, set it to be an hour. So you would be able to change these things, and Reclaim will break up this task that is 8 hours long into these more manageable chunks. Now, I have already gone through and set some working hours, although they do have some defaults here, but you can choose here to have it included during your working hours or during your personal hours, and you make those settings or make those changes in settings, and then it tells you here when do you want to start the task? So when do you want to start scheduling it? I always kind of leave it to now. And then what's the due date? You can always change the date that it's due, and then you just hit create. Now, I am going to go back onto my planner. Actually, let me close out here. I go back onto my planner and I'll show you where it gets added. So you can kind of see it'll probably be for next week. Actually, no, it should be this week because it's due at a certain time. So you can see here that now test is listed on my schedule, and these are like kind of blocked out. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, again, tasks to me are going to be the one-off tasks that it might take a long time, but I only have it scheduled like once, and it's not a recurring task. If it's a recurring task, I have it set up as a habit. Now, habits to me are things that I do regularly. I consider them the routine tasks. And you can see here, I listed several. The big ones for me in 2024 are like right here, there's family time. I wanted to focus on social media as one of my work adjacent tasks. So I have a bunch of habits related to YouTube. And then, of course, I have my actual job. So I am a teacher, and so I do grading, I do discussion board posts, I have to post announcements. And so those are the things that I added here. Hopefully, you can see that. And so what I do is in order to create a habit, again, I click new habit, I type in whatever the habit is, I'll put test habit here. You set the priority. And then here, this is where it gets interesting. You get a chance to categorize it. So I chose to put it as basically work, so it's solo work, or I can choose it to be personal. So personal, one of the things that I have for personal was family time, but here for most of what I'm doing, it's going to be solo work. And so it will tell me here that it will give me some of the best time windows for getting the habit done. But again, just like with the task, the one-off task, you set the minimum amount of time that you want to work on it and the maximum amount of time. Now, one of the interesting things here is because it's a habit, you kind of designate like the example that Reclaim uses is like lunch. Let's just say that you want to have lunch every day. That's one of the habits that you want to develop. If you want to have lunch every day, but sometimes you only get 15 minutes to eat lunch, then if you're okay with that, then make sure that you're putting 15 minutes here. If, however, you like to sometimes take a leisurely lunch and you want to have an hour and a half for your lunch period, then you should put 1.5 here. And so what Reclaim will do is then try to find you a time frame that is from 15 minutes to an hour and a half every single day. And so again, you will change when you set the time. I want it during my working hours. And then how frequently do you want this task to occur? So if you want to have lunch every day, if you want it only 5 days a week, whatever, right? What is the ideal time that you want to have lunch? For me, it'll be right at 12 o'clock. And then when do you want it to start? When do you want the habit to start? I want to start as soon as possible. I'm actually going to go back up here and I'll put lunch as a test, just so you can see what this looks like, right? And then any other notes that you want to have, you can do markdown and some other things, which is a little bit, to me, a little bit too advanced. And I leave all the rest the same. So it says right here, do you want it visible? Or like this is if you allow other people to share your calendar. If so, then do you want it to be listed as lunch, or do you want it just to show as busy? And then right here, time defense. How aggressively should Reclaim defend this habit on your calendar? You can have it listed as always free. What that means is that people can then book a meeting with you over this time. Do you want to use the AI for Reclaim to kind of do the calculation for you, or do you want it to always be busy, right? And then I always change that to not notify me. And then here you can CC any others. There are duplicate events, I think this is kind of fun. If there, for example, other meetings on the schedule that are already listed as a lunch or a lunch and learn, or like I like to put co-working sessions. If any of these words pop up, I would assume that all of these will involve lunch. And so I don't need to have a separate lunch schedule or lunch hour scheduled on my day. All right. And so I just add those kind of like events to look for in order to avoid those days. I hit save, right? And now I have this on my schedule and it shows you all of the times here, but you can also see it on your planner. I'll just show you for today that now my lunch hour is right here, okay? And it's just scheduled automatically by Reclaim. So I think that those components, tasks and habits, are the heart of Reclaim, but I also find that there are a couple of super useful tools, for me at least, for work purposes. And so I wanted to talk about those. So the next one here is Smart One-on-Ones. This allows you to automatically book meetings. And I won't get into it a ton, but basically it allows you to like find time that works for two or more people. But here for the one-on-one, it's going to be for two people. So you're able to just kind of like, if you click on it, it'll let you set certain like criteria, like sending it to the person, allowing them to kind of pick a time, and allows you to adjust the time and things like that, right? I personally am using Reclaim by myself, and so that doesn't necessarily work for me. And so some of the other things here, like smart meetings, this allows you to be able to auto schedule like recurring tasks. As you can see right here, it says recurring team meetings. Again, I use this by myself, so that doesn't necessarily work. The one that is super exciting to me is scheduling links. And so what I'm able to do here is create a new link, and I'll just create one here, where I'm able to make a page for others to book meetings with me. So use this link to book a meeting with me, okay? And if you want to, I always like to change this. I like to put that it's a one-on-one meeting. And I obviously know who I am. I don't need to have my name in there, but I always like to know who the one-on-one meeting with is. So you can kind of see here, it's kind of small, but it says one-on-one meeting with whoever the person is, the attendee, right? And then it shows right here, meeting organizers and customizable hours. I have my stuff here, and of course I have my meeting hours that I like to have my meetings scheduled within, so that's all there. And then here, when I schedule the meetings, I want these meetings to be at a certain priority level. Again, I don't want to get too much into it, but of course higher priority events or tasks will be the ones that Reclaim kind of like puts higher on the list. And so I like to list my one-on-ones as high priority, just so that way it gets scheduled, and other things that are lower priority can kind of be moved around. And then how long do you want these meetings to be? Now, here's one of the fun things. The default right here is 30 minutes, but you can also add other time frames. So I can do a 15-minute window, I can do a 1-hour window, and these are all times that a person can select for their meeting time. So if they want a 15-minute meeting, if they want a 30-minute meeting, or if they want a 1-hour meeting, they can go ahead and just pick it right on the scheduling site. And then here, what's the soonest that they could schedule the meeting? I always like to have a little bit of buffer, so I don't want them to schedule a meeting in like the next 5 minutes, but I'm okay with them scheduling it that day as long as it's 2 hours out, so that way I can kind of wrap up whatever project that I have going on. So I like to set a 2 hour window. The earliest that they can book a meeting is from this moment. 2 hours from now is the earliest that they can book. Or you can change it to where they can only book starting tomorrow or the next week or a certain date. Those are all available options as well. And then here, what is the latest that they can schedule? 60 days to me is way too far in advance, especially for the work that I do. I like to leave it only to a 7 day window. So within the next week, they can book a meeting, and that's 7 calendar days. And then right here, it says meetings per day or per week. I like to keep it to where it's only 4 meetings per day. You could change it, of course, to like how many meetings you want per week. I just don't like to have all of my meetings scheduled. And so then here you have like this where you can change the name of the meeting. And so I'll just change it to a one-on-one meeting, like that. And then you could add, like, for example, Zoom. I think Zoom is the only one that's connected right now, but you can add a Zoom link. And I do actually usually add a Zoom link, and then you can fill out all the rest of this, like send a reminder email and so on and so forth. So you can kind of look through that and see what that looks like. But you're able to keep it public or private, put where you're going to have the meeting, like which calendar it's going to show up for. But this is kind of what it looks like when a person looks at it. So it says right here, use this link to book a meeting. That was what I wrote into the description earlier. You're able to select the duration of the meeting. If you have people who are working in a different time zone as you, they can change their time zones so that way they can see the times in their time. And then there is an option for them to kind of look at their own availability, like they can connect to their own calendar and see where they have available time. But then they're able to pick these times. And so this link right here is something that I can send to other people or have included in my email signature for them to be able to book that. And I think it's so convenient to have that. So I really, really enjoyed this function of it and having it built into the AI system as well. A couple of other things that I like to use this for, and I'll go back to tasks to talk about this. This is the only other thing that I'm really using Reclaim for, and that is going to be to log hours. And so I'm going to use this test just because it's here. But one of the functions of Reclaim that I think is really cool is time tracking. I think I showed you earlier, like I'll go back here and show you these stats, right? But here in tasks, when we how do those stats come about? The way that we do that is by using these functions up here. So we see here there's of course an edit button, but there's this button that says start task and mark done, or like mark it complete. If you click this button right here, the start button, it starts logging your time. You can see here that it has moved it to right now 8:50, and it's starting to log the time. And I'm able to just kind of have it track how much time I'm or like how much time I put into this particular task. And I'm excited about this function because I used to do a ton of time tracking, and so I can see this really working for me. I'm able to split up my time into, like, for work, for me at least, into teaching or like administrative teaching tasks like grading, but then also things like actual administration like email and like responding to my bosses, doing things related to service. So if I'm prepping or like putting together a PowerPoint or doing something for the university, I'm able to track those things and be able to see it at a like graphical level in the stats. So I'm excited to play with it. I'm going to be playing with it for the next month or two, I think, to be able to see what kind of stats I'm able to see and like how it automatically groups these tasks, because I'll be excited to like maybe relabel some of the tasks and do some fun things with it. But again, I'm still playing with it. I'm not exactly 100% sure how these things will work, but I'm able to start and stop, and I'm going to stop it right now. And then if I need to, I can also start it again and it will continue to log time. So again, I think it's like a really cool kind of time tracking method. And like at a bigger level, if I want to keep it very simple and just have like teaching, service, and scholarship and just click start on just those things, I think that could work as well. And of course, I still use my planner, but I also really, really love digital tools. And this is one of the coolest ones I found because it combines several things that I really love to have for my work. And it's the first time I've seen it all kind of packaged together. So I'm really excited about using it. And that's it. So I'm hoping that this will work for me for work. And if it doesn't, then of course, that will be something that I can just remove off of the list of things that I'm using. But for right now, after 24 hours of using it, I'm super excited about it. And we'll see where it goes. I might come on with an update video in the next month or two. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if this is something that you're even interested in exploring, how AI is kind of amping up our digital game. If not, of course, that's always, there are lots of people who are just completely analog. I've never been one of those people. I've always kind of been hybrid. So I love looking for these new tools. If you're interested in exploring Reclaim AI for yourself, again, I'll have a referral link in the description so you can kind of see it. But this is just one of the many ways that I try to keep on top of all of the things that I need to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video. Bye guys!